Hello to all you vacation rental pioneers out there. My name's Matt Landau, and this is Unlocked, the podcast series that introduces you to the world's leading vacation rental innovators by diving deep into one single key, one specific best practice or technique that opened the door and changed the game. John Dean of Only Provence is one of the most limited edition property managers in the world. His fleet of properties are widely recognized as the best properties in the region. But this distinction doesn't happen by accident. John's topic here is about as deliberate of a practice as I've covered on this pod. It was before I was heading on stage to speak at Kigo World in Barcelona, Spain, that I stole a few precious minutes with John and archived this idea for you all to hear. Here's me and John. I am Matt Landau, and this is Unlocked. And you are John.
Yeah.
And we are sitting into, how would you describe these things? Very fashionable white chairs.
Plush leather, high fashion chairs, yeah.
We're in high fashion chairs. We have a makeup artist in the room with a whole table worth of makeup that unfortunately we're not going to be, or maybe you are.
No, I don't think so. I don't think...
You have a vacation rental business that you founded in Provence.
Yeah.
How many properties do you represent?
150 now and growing.
And remind me when you founded it. When was the beginning?
2007. So I'd lived over there for 6-7 years, and we renovated and rented our own house and got to see what it was like from the owner's perspective. And then other people came in, other who had nice properties, and said, would you please rent my property too? So when we moved back to the States in 2007, that's when we founded Only Provence. And so 11 years. And one of the factors of this limited edition theory that we're exploring is distinction. We found that guests and travelers respond best to superlatives and precedents, the best, the only, the first. And internally, like I think people use those phrases to sort of store away memories so that they can retrieve them easily. But when people are recommending things to others or endorsing a vacation rental business, those little benchmarks of distinction are super helpful. And you kind of epitomize this distinction and this top grading, is that the phrase? Yeah, top grading, like
top grading.
Your processes, and always, it means continually improving, like you would the soil before you plant, your crops. You want to make sure that you're always improving, and usually not in big leaps, in little steps every day, every week, making processes more efficient, making sure the properties are better, dealing with whatever it is, maintenance issues or properties that just haven't changed their decoration in 6 years, and it's time to kind of freshen things up. So we always want the best offering out there, and we really encourage our owners to stay up with the new properties that are coming online, competing with theirs, because what we're offering, we all have the same customer, our renters, our families, and they want the best value for the money that they can get. So the more streamlined we can be in our processes, the best technology that we can afford to have, and the process by which we maintain a cohesive, really high-end group of properties
and how do you do
makes
that?
us stand apart.
Like, do you just, what's the process?
Well, we're always looking at a number of different variables, lots of different numbers all the time to see what's happening.
Which properties are performing?
Yes, which properties are performing and which aren't. Where's the most demand? Why isn't a property performing well? And there are several factors there. Sometimes it's that, well, we love our owners. Sometimes they go through difficult times in their lives and they are less responsive, or it can become more difficult to deal with some people. Some people are more difficult, owners and renters alike, and that goes in. You have to take that into account. Sure. when you're making your booking. So I think I lost your question there.
But we're right on track. The properties that don't seem to be up to snuff, the ones that don't continue to top your list.
Yeah.
What do you do with them?
We contact the owners. We have a great partnership with our owners that starts with when we arrive. They have vacation houses that are, between 1 and 3 million euros in value. And we're responsible to have good rentals with good people where there are few problems, little breakage, wear and tear, and that we provide the revenue that they need to keep their vacation house going, so they don't need to come out of pocket for maids and gardeners and repairs and that sort of thing. So when we're invited to come to their properties, we help them build a business. I come with that owner, not myself. There's a team that does it. But when I first did it myself, I came seeing the business through the eyes of the owner. So I could explain to them very quickly, and these are bright people who have $2 million vacation houses, what they need to put in place to be successful. So we look at these same things when a property is not performing. What are the rates? What are the photos like? Have we had problems with issues there?
With maintenance.
Yeah. So we're going to be way less likely to rent a property that we know is slipping in terms of maintenance, for example.
And if they're falling into that, do you use like an actual percentage of your portfolio that you look at the bottom every year?
Yes. Yep. We categorize the properties that are doing well. Why are they doing well? Then we end up with properties that aren't renting. Of course, there are problem properties where we are renting and we had some more problems than we should have, and we address those. And then there are the ones at the bottom who aren't performing at all, or we're not renting at all. And we have to ask ourselves, for the sake of the owners, why aren't these performing well?
And for the sake of the guests, too.
Oh, of course.
In the end.
Of course. Well, our clients are telling us in that case that they're not interested in the offering. So we have to ask ourselves,
who is this making sense for?
Are we sending the wrong message to our clients?
Yeah.
When we show them 135 beautiful properties and 15 where the photos are old and the decoration's slipping, and we're not booking the property anyway, I think that tells your customer that they've come to the wrong place. Those 15 houses at the bottom.
I'd like to take a quick moment to share a little vignette that I keep coming back to. And it's the vacation rental movement like a parade that's coming through town. As independent owners and managers, we can either jump in and join the action, or we can watch it pass by. And as you can hear from this conversation, joining in on the parade means innovating, adopting new technology, and doing things that haven't been done before. This podcast would not be possible without the support of Point Central, a company that epitomizes innovation. Their property automation services like smart locks and smart thermostats allow us to focus on the highest value jobs, in the process delivering a more seamless experience to the people that we work with. Head over to pointcentral.com/VRMB to learn more. That's pointcentral.com/VRMB. Thanks to the Point Central team for their leading role in our proud vacation rental parade. Now let's get back to the show.
So we've got a team responsible for customer satisfaction, and we have a team responsible for owner relations and satisfaction. So we just let them sort of fight it out, because one wants to get rid of the house, the other wants to save it, and some we have to let go. The owners say they're not going to invest any more money, or they're not going to make improvements. We go to the owners and explain to them we're not actually adding any value here at all. Here's our suggestion for what would work. If you're not going to take the suggestions and we're not renting your property, then we're not helping you.
It's just very transparent. It's just open communication. Like, this is not working for our guests, which means that we can't make it work for you in a way.
Yeah, like a grocer who has tomatoes, when the tomatoes start to spoil, nobody wants those tomatoes. And it makes them have a poor impression about the oranges you're selling, which might be fine. So it's about, top grading is about having a cohesive brand and remembering that if you're not progressing, and again, just even incrementally progressing, I'm not talking about leaps and bounds. If you're not progressing every day, you're actually moving backwards because everybody else out there is progressing. We've got to compete with, and our owners need to compete with people who have just finished beautiful renovations with the latest decoration and maintenance teams and so on who are right on top of it. And just as a background, Only Provence doesn't, we are more of an agency than, we don't manage the properties. We do have a network of managers who we trust and we recommend who do the job well. But that means that we can have owners where the quality of the management of their property can change over time. And that's a big factor in whether we feel comfortable putting our guests in their property.
And another thing I remember you mentioned to me was this, like, you seek out owners and properties that are on an upward curve.
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool. And you could be at the beginning of that upward curve, but so long as you as an owner are moving forward and upwards and not sort of being a negative Nancy.
Yeah. Again, the same thing I just said for ourselves as an organization is true for owners. We tell them, if you're not making improvements to your property, incremental improvements, when something just gets a little, I don't know, a sink gets a little older, it's scratched or something like that, you just replace the sink. It's not replacing the entire kitchen, for example. But if you're not making incremental improvements and you're not upgrading your decoration, especially, assuming the maintenance is fine, then that property competitively is moving backwards. It's kind of like holding cash in an inflationary environment. You're losing money just sitting still. So we really get in there and explain to them, here's your property, here's your offering. Here's an offering they're making 3 times the number of bookings you are. You're in the same town, you have the same size property, but they're taking a different approach. And we're here to help them as business consultants do well at what they do, and at the same, and we see their offering through the eyes of our clients, because many of the properties we would never rent ourselves for our own family, some of them that are tens of thousands per week. So we have to understand what that client wants, and we need to transmit that information to our owners. And if they're not going to make any changes, or our clients have just decided they're not interested in an offering after we've done the photos and the pricing correctly and made suggestions for improvements, then we're not adding value and we need to move on. You don't fill a store full of products that your clients aren't interested in.
Oh, spoiled tomatoes.
Right.
I'm going to try to summarize what I've just learned and wrap this up. On a regular basis, you practice this Kaizen, this continual improvement, by being disciplined with your top grading strategy, which is looking very carefully at which properties are performing and how. And the properties that are on the top, you aim to replicate those characteristics. And the properties that are on the bottom, you look very carefully about whether the relationship is working. And it's the ones in the middle who are on this upward curve that you try to help grow and make them more money.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, it is. And there's a life cycle. There's a life cycle. When you've been around long enough in the business, you realize that there can be a life cycle to a rental relationship, and that sometimes the house will change hands and new life will be breathed into another property. But yeah, I think that's pretty succinct what you just said. Everybody and all parties are aware when a property is no longer an interesting offering. So we're transparent about that. We really try to help, and we remove those properties. It's yearly that we take a look at this. At the end of the season, we will see the properties we had problems in, the ones we didn't book, and we see if there's a way that we can improve the offerings that didn't book. And if we can't improve them, we remove them. If there's no, we don't book for 2 or 3 years.
We can't improve them, we remove them.
Yeah.
It's almost like a pesticide company. Well, you wouldn't be improving any pesticides. No. Okay, that will be the end of this segment.
Okay, thank you.
And to close, just a quick reminder of who made this episode possible. It's Point Central, the property automation experts of our industry. Head over to pointcentral.com/VRMB to learn more. And when you use that page, you'll become eligible for free HVAC analytics, which tells managers when the HVAC starts to misbehave before our guests get upset. This also makes property owners happy by taking care of the problem before it becomes too expensive. And if you're feeling cheerful, please also consider writing us a quick review in your podcast app. We read every single one of them, and we pass them along to our esteemed guests. This industry is growing up quickly, my friends. This industry is unlocked.